Hello, 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 and welcome to Photo Finish, the great pop culture debates, fashion photo review of the looks from RuPaul's Drag Race Season 13. I'm your host, Eric Resniak, and I am joined this week by my very special guest, Judge Judy, Andrea Guerrero. Welcome, Andrea.
Hey, Eric, thanks for having me.
We are delighted to have you. How are you surviving what feels like the fourth consecutive year of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 13?
Lots of help with a bottle of wine for each episode.
Yeah, and I'm going through a case of vodka per episode. So, but you know what? We asked for it. We were like, oh, 2021, starting with gift. This is the monkey's paw of RuPaul's Drag Race. That's what this season is. So, on that note, very topically, the theme for this week's runway, episode 11, was Beast in honor of the legend Alyssa Edwards. We're going to get right to tooting, booting, shooting, pooting, and mooting the looks from the main stage. First up, we have Utica Queen. Andrea, what did you think?
Utica got a solid toot for me. I thought this was a gorgeous look. It's one of the bougiest gowns that I've seen her come out in. The faux fur elegance, it makes me think that she's going to like a black tie cocktail exclusively for Disney villains. And I love that. And I thought her makeup definitely carried the Beast theme. It was a more subtle take on the Beast theme, which I'm not entirely upset about. But I think given her very open religious background, this is a huge statement for her. So I loved it. And I will say that seeing her around the corner in this like dark, stunning gown gave me very high hopes for the rest of the runway. And then we'll get to the rest of the runway later.
And let's just say there's room for everyone.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go ahead and moot this. I like the makeup quite a lot. I thought there was, and you're right, this is a more elegant take for Utica, and she wasn't mugging her way down the runway, which I'm so glad. But I don't think she quite took it far enough for me. I think if there had been a little bit more shaping in the midsection and just doing something other than just column of black with some little festoons of yellow throughout, it might have excited me more. I think it's a completely fine garment, but I'm not in love with it. I'm barely in like with it. I will admit to this. I think I continue to hold Utica to the standard that she set for herself in the promo looks, which was crazy good and which she has not really achieved consistently throughout the whole course of the show. So that maybe is not fair, but that's where we are. Moving on. Oh God, we have Kandy Muse. Take it away, Andrea.
I don't even know where to start with Kandy Muse. But I mean, I guess we could start with saying it's a total poot for me, and it's hands down one of the worst runway looks that I've seen on Drag Race, just straight out. I get the alien theme, but I don't know how alien translate into neon green merkins and like touch and feel fuzzy boobs. It doesn't translate to me. The alien blow up doll, I feel like she was trying to have like an Ornacia moment and it just did not work out for her. And her makeup isn't even good. Like there's nothing good about this at all. It looks like that she just like slathered makeup onto a piece of paper and like the resemblance of her face and just kind of like put it on her face and rolled with it. It was just a very disappointing, and not being a huge Kandy Muse fan to begin with. I've liked some of her looks, but this one was not, it wasn't it for me.
I mean, it's something, but it is not good. It is a total poop for me. I'm borderline tempted to make it a scoot, which would be like an even lower version. I don't know what, as the photo says, whatever the fuck this is. Nothing about this says the runway theme Beast, so let's just acknowledge that and set it aside. It is objectively not pretty. It is objectively not that interesting. It is weird, but in a way that is actually off-putting to me. It's bad. The most worrisome thing to me is that Kandy thought she was going to be in the top for this, and then the judges
ate it up too.
Like, oh my God, you're so crazy. You're so crazy, Kandy.
I thought Michelle for sure was gonna drag her because it's green, and Michelle infamously hates green. And then she was like, "This is great. I love it."
I wish that they could have panned slightly to the left, because you would probably see a producer there with a gun off, like pointed at Michelle's head, like, don't you dare say anything mean about Kandy, because she got to take her to the finals. This is
Yeah,
not good
truly.
at all. This is, we said earlier in the season that Lala's bag dress was the worst thing that we've seen on the runway in a long time. This is worse because she brought it from home and thought it looked great. It does not. It is just hands down probably the worst look in, I think, the last like 5 seasons of Drag Race. I really down there with Dusty
This,
Ray Bottoms feathers look. That's where I'm putting it, that low.
yes.
Moving
Yeah.
on.
This
It's
look
Miss
made my jaw
Canberra.
drop, but like in the worst way possible. Tina, I really liked this look. This one did get a toot for me, but I am a little biased toward camp queens in general. But I thought this was very different for Tina. She broke out of her Ronald McDonald color scheme, and she doesn't look like a housewife. It's very clearly inspired by Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. And I liked that she kept the sort of like Frankenstein sewn together feel as like a really weird play on couture. I do think she was robbed on the runway for this look. I think this was a solid, safe look for her. But the judges have their own opinions very clearly this season. But I really did like this one. This was a toot for me. And I thought her makeup was really interesting. And it was just overall a nice, refreshing look to see from Tina.
I will boot it. And I've tooted a lot of Tina's looks. I actually really do appreciate Tina. I don't know what it is that people dislike so intensely about her, but I actually really do like Tina Burner. And this, to me, I agree with everything you just said. It is interesting. It is an interesting interpretation of the theme. There's a lot of cool details here. I just don't find it nice to look at. To me, it swallows her, and it is not aesthetically pleasing to me. And for that reason, I'm booting it. But I do think it was a better interpretation of the runway than some of the other ones that we got. And I give her points for constantly. I think she does push herself. And it made me sad that she was getting well, you just keep doing the same thing every week. And I don't think that's true. I really don't. So I think Tina was done dirty by this show, but what are you going to do? It is the way, it's the game. It's the game, right? Next up,
Name
we
of the
have,
game.
speaking of things that are dirty, it's Symone in what I can only describe as a furry suit. Take it away, Andrea.
Listen, I have been a huge Symone stan since the very beginning, the very first episode. I do think that she is worthy of the crown, and I thought she could do no wrong from the very beginning of the episode, or the very beginning of the season. And then she came out in this fursuit that's giving me like Lola Bunny from Space Jam vibes. I don't really have much commentary to give on this, so I'm just going to let the furries come cyberbully me. But this was a total poop. I hate it.
I'll boot it, not poot it. And I'm writing the blog for this week's episode right now, which you can find on greatpopculturedebate.com/bonus. We have blogs for all the episodes. And I'm not one to yuck anyone's yum. Get your freak on. And I'm completely 100% pro that, do whatever you want. But there's just something about seeing a furry suit walking down the Drag Race runway where I'm just like, I don't know how to process this, frankly. Like, it's just very strange to me. And maybe that's my own hangups, and I accept that. But I can't do anything but boot this. I don't think it's glamorous. I think like they were literally trying to say that she made this look glamorous. I don't see glamour here. It's
I think Michelle's verbs was breathtaking.
Well, I mean, you can take breathtaking in any number of ways, and I guess that is true. It did take my breath away, but not in a like Berlin kind of Top Gun way. So it's a boot for me. Sorry, Symone. Next up, it's Gottmik. What do we think, Andrea?
Gottmik gets a reluctant toot for me on this one. I do have some issues with it. It's a Gottmik look. She came out in a bodysuit, flat-chested, with her Gottmik makeup on, and that's what I've come to expect from her. She's plateauing for me in that regard, but I do think that she nailed the category. I think the breast cutout is a very clever way to sort of design the snout of the beast, and when you pan out, you do get this really cool visual of this beast face. But I do wish she would have had different hair, a different wig, maybe like a headpiece that was like horns or antennas or something. I think she just could have taken this a little bit further and gotten out of her sort of Gottmik comfort zone. But it is an overall toot.
Yeah, I'm tooting it as well. I will say that it's not the most original thing I've seen because we've seen a very similar look like this on Monique Hart in All Stars 4, I believe. There was a very similar type of look. And it also reminds me of the Jeremy Scott VMA Monster piece, which had a bunch of drag queens from whatever year it was that All Stars 2 was filmed. So we've seen this type of a concept before, but it fits the category, Kandy, and I think it fits her brand, and I think it is a cool overall visual when you pan out and see what she's accomplishing here. It's not the most exciting Gottmik runway, but it is a two for me. Next up, we have Olivia Lux. What do we think, Andrea?
I think it was really great that they got Scully from Monsters Inc. to make an appearance on Drag Race this season. It's really great. I am gonna boot this look for Olivia. It's very costumey. It borderlines being a fursuit, just like Symone's, and it was just overall too cutesy for me. And I think that this is just another example about how Olivia is really struggling to find her footing this season. I think she's still trying to figure out what her brand is, as we saw even in the branding challenge this week. But I think it shapes her body nicely. I think it accentuates everything that she tries to bring to the runway every week. But the makeup was just sort of blah, it's just a blue face with the Scully outfit. It's just it's a boot for me. There's not much here that I really love.
It's a moot for me, and that when I heard the category was beast, this is exactly what I was expecting people to come out giving us, kind of where the wild things are, realness, and that's what it is. I think Olivia is at a point where she does not know who she doesn't have a defined drag identity, so it's, oh, beast runway, I'm just going to go and do. I mean, it kind of reminds me like when I was growing up in the 80s, they had like My Pet Monster, like it's very that. And I think she's doing like the bare minimum necessary to be okay on the runway. She's never really like slapping me across the face with interesting ideas or like boundary pushing glamour. So I can't do anything but I don't think she looks bad. I think she missed the brief, but is it exciting? It's not. And I think that is where we are finding ourselves with Olivia this season. I think Olivia is a little bit of a cautionary tale to people who are interested in doing Drag Race, but maybe don't have themselves completely figured out yet. Need a little bit more time to cook. Next up, and finally, we have Rosé. Andrea, take it away.
This is a 100% shoot for me. I love Rosé. She's been another one of my favorites since the very beginning of the season. I think that her looks get slept on quite a bit in general, but it's very clear this was the best look of the runway tonight. Just technically in every way possible, and it's one that's going to be forever grained into my memory. It's just going to be one of those outfits that I like. It just pops into my head randomly. And I love that it's not just a plain red bodysuit. I love the textured pattern that she has that kind of gives it this beastie animal feel. I love the poofs on her arms and her legs that sort of give that silhouette of a beast animal feel. And the hair just reminds me of like, it feels like an evil troll. I love it. She reminded me of the villain Him from Powerpuff Girls. I very much got that vibe. But this was amazing. I think it's one of the best that she's ever looked this season. And I love her so much.
Yeah, total shoot for me. This, I think, if we're stacking up the looks so far of season 13, this is in the top 5 easily. I have struggled with Rosé's looks a lot this season, especially early on. And I think the criticisms of her are justified. This is what I want to see from Rosé. This is conceptual, but it is still very much fashion. It's very cool. One thing that you didn't mention in terms of details is it had these almost invisible, really long pieces coming off the fingers and other parts of it, which to me was just so fascinating to look at. It really gave a whole 3-dimensional aspect to this look. You were getting Him, I see that too. For me, it was, could it be Satan? Like I just dug the whole thing, and I think this was a really great week for Rosé. This is a look that will go down in Drag Race history as one of the best looks of all time. I think even years from now, people will go, yeah, Rosé's beast look was like worth it for this entire terrible runway alone was worth it for this look. So congratulations, Rosé. So with that said, it's kind of an obvious question, but Andrea, who's your top 2 of the week?
Rose and Utica were definitely my top two of the week. With Rose getting the #1 accolades. I just think that this look was so well executed, and I didn't even mention her makeup the first time around, but I think her face is just gorgeous in this, and I think she always excels in her makeup, but this is just it's really beautiful. It's really it's drag. This is what I think of when I think of like themed drag runways.
Yeah, in my top two is also Rose. I would make a deal with this demon, and I would be happy to do so. So if you're listening, demons, please give me a call. You can find me at greatpopculturedebate.com. So that is it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure that you check out greatpopculturedebate.com in the bonus section for those blogs that I mentioned before. Also, make sure while you're there to check out what episodes we have up and what polls that you can vote on for upcoming episodes. Season 3 of our little podcast starts to drop Monday, March 22nd with the best clue quote episode. Also coming up in season 3, we have a best drag race runways seasons 1 through 6 episodes. So you'll definitely want to check that out. Speaking of drag race, we are still taking people to join our Drag Race Down Under fan pool on our website. You're part of it, right, Andrea? You're going to be joining us this time?
Yes, I am. I'm very excited.
Free to join. We get to play every week. We do these videos. We write some blogs. You get points at the end of the time. Somebody wins a prize package. It's a lot of fun. So please check that out at greatpopculturedebate.com/bonus. And please like and subscribe to this channel for more Drag Race content, as well as all of our other videos. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.